Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Tell the Truth, episode 27. Back at it. Look, we are a week away from the NFL draft here, and we have a special guest for you guys, Mr. Daniel Harms from RGR Football, Football Guys on the Cover One podcast. Yours truly, DG and CJ. We got a little bit of a special, addition for you guys, a little bit of a prospect draft, taking some of our favorite guys and talking about them a little bit. So, without further ado, Daniel, how you doing today, man?
Oh man, I'm telling you guys, you guys all know it's always the grind, right? The week before the draft, you're just like, why can't it be now? Why can't it be right now? Tomorrow, right? Like tomorrow, let it be over with and done with so we can get going. But no, they want to go ahead and go, we're gonna get the Senior Bowl in January. You're gonna get the combine in like early March, and then you're gonna wait your ass off for a month and a half. I'm okay. Other than that, other than going crazy, I'm good. I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Look, you know how the NFL likes to dominate the cycle, man. They're just gonna slowly wait, drag it out, make it long. DG, CJ, how you guys doing today?
Good, man. Every day you get to wake up is another blessed day. So, good, man.
God is great. What DG said.
Right. Yeah,
You feel me?
Absolutely.
One more day, man. We one day closer.
One day closer to this draft.
Closer,
I'm ready to
man.
get this thing over with.
So
man.
close. It's crazy. Like this time last year, obviously, like I wouldn't even like the draft flew by because it was in Kansas City, so I was like so busy with like I was touring people around the city and like obviously trying to actually go to the draft and enjoy it, and then obviously do our coverage as well. So that was like a blink of an eye. Now, like Daniel said, now it's just like every day, every second is like the longest day ever, and you're just trying to wait for the draft. So it's a complete 360 from last year. So it's definitely I feel like more now like a normal fan again than last year because it was a whole experience. But I'm definitely grateful that we've got to experience a lot of Super Bowls in the last couple of years. So it makes it not as bad waiting this long. So.
Absolutely. It's nice that the off season is, a few weeks shorter every single year than most other teams in Chiefs Kingdom. Was spoiled from that perspective. I think also we've it's draft season or we're too far into draft season when you start hearing things like, this guy has diabetes. So we maybe, have some question marks about his character.
Character issue season.
I'm always amazed at what the new thing is that they come up with
every year.
One prospect or another, every single year. So it's something special. Without further ado, like I said, we're gonna jump into this just because I felt like this was again a good way to kind of break up the monotony. Just as far as our draft order is concerned, we are gonna start with DG, then we're gonna get to our guest Daniel Harms, then CJ, and finish up with me. And I will say I did do this in a very specific order. Because, that first, prospect right there, quarterback, we'll see how things go and how these guys want to draft. But I'm not telling you guys what order you got to take these positions. You take them in whatever order you feel fit. You just say, it just might set up a little bit of question here. So, we can play the draft music. We don't have the draft music. Our DJ, I didn't tell him to prepare for this. So, get this rolling. DG, without further ado, man, go ahead. Start us off, man. Who you picking first overall, dog?
First overall, man.
It's a big choice.
I'm not even sure, right?
Big
choices. I feel like I have to go quarterback first. I feel like that's always the foundation of your team. Got to have a great quarterback back there.
To start off with.
It's really tough, man. But I think I'm going to probably go different here because I know a lot of people probably expect me to take a certain guy.
Okay.
But I'm going to take a leap of faith on a guy, and I'm going to take Jaden Daniels.
Ooh, okay. Now, the reason I was going to set this up was specifically so I could ask Daniel Harms if he preferred Daniels or Drake May, but obviously DG found, wanted to go that way. Daniel, are you taking Caleb Williams?
I'm not going to take Caleb Williams, actually. I'm going to treat this as more of a my guy kind of like draft.
Okay.
Like I love the guys at top, obviously, but I'm going to go over to the wide receiver position, and I'm going to take Rome Odunze right now because I love Marvin Harrison Jr. so much. He's my wide receiver one, but what Rome Odunze does, he's like Marvin Harrison Jr. in the sense that they are these physical downfield players that get open underneath, can get open at all three levels. It doesn't really matter what they do. And Rome is, he went back to college and he get put on 15, 20 pounds of muscle and said, fine, I'm going to get better at the catch point. I'm going to start muscling guys out for the ball. I'm going to go show you that I'm that guy. And that's what I love about the work ethic and putting that time in, the work in, because that's what you're going to have to do in the NFL. Find what you're bad at or not great at and get better at it. So Rome Odunze here is my first overall pick in this situation.
Good choice. Good choice.
You saw that competitive spirit with him at the combine. And look, I said it a little bit earlier, draft season. People were like, "Oh, is it Malik Neighbors? Is it Marvin Harris Jr.?" I'm like, I don't know when Malik passed up Rome Odunze because that dude does nothing but get open and catch the football on a consistent basis. He's got all the athletic testing you ever want. I love Rome a lot. I will certainly say that. CJ, what's up, man? Go ahead, go with your third overall pick, with your first on your team.
Well, y'all can sit up here and make it complicated. I'm gonna go Caleb Williams, best quarterback on the board. The arm talent is crazy.
Oh, shock!
Going
shock!
Chicago, y'all never, and I repeat, you have never ever had a 4,000-yard passer. You will have one this year. So congratulations, Chicago! Finally, break the record. That's obviously like one of the ugliest records ever. They need to break that. That's disgusting. Jesus Lord, that's terrible.
Very disgusting.
And being one of the oldest franchise too. God, that's terrible.
Absolutely. And he has a chance to break it his rookie year.
He has a lot of weapons. They got him Keenan, DJ Moore, Cole Kmet. He got a lot of boys to work with. So should be a fun year.
To have Rome Odunze.
Double up. You never know.
Oh man, that trio with Caleb throwing to him, that could be something special. I will certainly say that. So with mine, I will also, I guess, stick with the chalk in a certain respect, because I do think the quarterback is the most important position. And in my opinion, the quarterback 2 in this class is Drake May. There are some aspects of him that I can understand why people are maybe cooling off on. Certainly, he needs some work on his footwork. I will not take that away. There are some aspects of him in structure that are question marks, but he's got every single tool in the toolbox, as far as I'm concerned, to develop into a difference-making quarterback. And if I'm picking the top 3, that's what I'm chasing. The way he feels pressure, I think, is good. He understands the way to poop in the pocket. So from that perspective, I do like Drake, and that's why he's going to end up being my first pick for my team as well. And my second pick, I guess, in the second round, as we snake around, I'm going to go with a guy who I actually think is tackle 1 in this class, Olu Folashanu. I love that kid out of Penn State. I loved him a year ago when I thought that he was going to declare and be a top 10 pick. He has every pass blocking tool in the toolbox. He understands how to get out of his slide so quickly. He doesn't give up the inside shoulder for as often as you would think that, a guy kind of his size and a little bit of lankiness would. And look, I understand a little bit of the run game concerns, but he's good in zone. I'll figure out what I need to do for him as far as the run game is concerned, when a guy can be your blindside protector on his level from a pass backing perspective. So that's my personal second pick. CJ, by all means, go ahead.
Ooh, got to get your tackle. It's the second most important position. For me, give me Joe Alt, man. I think he's arguably, like to DMac's point, I think he's arguably the best tackle in the class for all the same reasons. It's kind of like basically like a pick your poison, which you do preference thing. I think he's arguably the best tackle in the class as far as run blocking, pass blocking standpoint. Obviously, it's Notre Dame tradition. All they do is build tackles, and they last long in the league, Tom. So you know he's going to play 10 years, going to protect Caleb's blind side, keep him clean, and hopefully they can try to win the NFC North anytime soon. So I love Joe Alt, man. That's my tackle 1, but I love Olu as well. So yeah, give me Joe Alt with Caleb, man.
All right. Then you back up, man.
Man, Joe Alt's going to be looking at the blind side of Will Levis when it won't matter in Tennessee for at least 1 year. I can almost guarantee it. If there was one place that we almost know that is going to get that position, it's going to be Tennessee at 7. Like, you could pretty much put a Post-it note at the beginning of the draft saying, okay, Joe Alt, don't even worry about it. You don't have to show up. We know who's going to draft you. But it's a lot of fun to do these kind of things, because I'm going to take a shot on a tackle that I believe has the opportunity to be the best out of all these players, and that's Amarius Mims. He is my offense, my tackle 5. I think he can play right and left tackle. Given his athletic ability, what he does as a pass protector, he's one of the best already pure pass protectors in this class, and he has the least amount of starts out of any of these guys, and it's insane. Obviously, injuries and experience play into what he could become, but what they do, they don't even develop these guys at Georgia. They just say, hey, you're a really, really good athlete. We're just going to bring you in, and you're going to put on a ton of weight, and you're going to play tackle. You'll figure it out eventually. And that's what Amarius Mims did. That first game that he started in his career against Ohio State 2 years ago, he was incredible, like the best player on the field, and that's the kind of upside that I see with Amarius Mims. So he's one of my guys. He's my, like I said, my tackle 5 in this class, and I'm a big fan of this guy out of Georgia.
How much do you or would you think that he could possibly move over to left? Because obviously he's a little bit typecast as a right tackle, but do you think he has the athleticism that's needed for that?
Yeah, I've got no issues. I think that he can figure it out. The athletic ability, not even just that, but the smarts. Like, he sees stunts very well. He's got great eyes. He doesn't open his inside shoulder a ton. He attacks with his outside hand when they're getting to the arc. He's able to counter correct inside. He has recovery athleticism. I got no worries about that.
All right. No, look, that is a guy that could possibly be available at the end of the first round. We know the Chiefs flirt with moving guys from left to right or right to left if they like the athleticism. Somebody to keep in mind, certainly, if he tends to slip. DG, go ahead, man. Head out the second round.
I will be different. I won't take a tackle here. I will take the best receiver in the class and put Marvin Harrison with Jaden Daniels.
Well done, sir. Well done.
Give him a number 1 target to throw to, and then I guess if we're snaking back around, I'll take J.C. Latham at tackle. So.
Okay. Alabama a little bit raw, but I wouldn't say too terribly so. A guy that can step in from day one and certainly start. So don't blame me there.
Definitely.
Daniel, back to you.
All right. So, like I said, I'm treating this more of a my guys kind of thing. What's up, Kyle? How you doing, man? Nice to see you in here tonight. And we're gonna go a little off the offensive board here, and I'm gonna take Byron Murphy, defensive tackle out of Texas. Might be my favorite player to watch in this entire class. I know he's got that undersized billing, but good luck moving him off the ball. It doesn't matter if it's a double team, it's a one-on-one, a drive block. He's trying to someone get to the second level. You're not moving him. He's going to split the double, or he's going to throw you down, and then he's going to go make the tackle. So Byron Murphy is the epitome of what honestly interior defensive tackles in today's NFL look like, play like, and effort every single which way. So he's such a fun player to watch, and we're going to just make sure he's on my team. I want him on mine.
Absolutely.
I feel that.
Great pick.
I'll tell you, I did a mock draft, and I had the entire first round. And for Falcons fans, I gave him Byron Murphy the second, and they were like mad at me. I was like, "Do you know how much of a beast Byron Murphy the second is? Like, he just
want to just play him at defensive end if you care that much. Like, who cares?
They don't like D
He can play on front if you want to that badly. He's going to destroy people regardless. It's going to be.
I literally argued Falcons fans down last year, Daniel, at the draft because they were telling me they don't want Jalen Carter. I'm like, you're freaking crazy.
Yeah, look,
I guess they don't like D linemen, I guess. So now they don't want Byron Murphy. So it's just tradition for them. So
good for them. Sticking to the script. I like it.
Right.
CJ, go ahead, man.
I'm gonna keep it simple, guys. Like I said, y'all making it easy for me, man. Give me Malik Neighbors. Obviously, I think he's a lot of people's doors, wide receiver too. A guy that can play inside, outside. His yards at the catchability is crazy. I love how he obviously played with multiple quarterbacks at LSU, a guy that can get open, a guy that tracks the ball very well, runs crisp routes, knows how to get in and out of the breaks cleanly, decent size, good run after catchability, like I said. I love everything about Malik. He's a dog, plays hard throughout the whole game, and I think any team that would be grateful to have him to get a great receiver. So I love Malik Neighbors' game. Also, he's my wide receiver 3, but I'm not mad at people having him 2. I think Rome is just like that, so I'm not mad at Rome putting him 2, but I think Malik will be very, very, very good in the NFL. Unfortunately, he may have to play with Daniel Jones, so that may suck, but I think he'll be a good receiver wherever he goes.
Right. Yeah, that would be unfortunate to say the least.
No shot to Giant fans. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do disrespect.
It's all right, I do.
Daniel said Daniel said it. I didn't say it.
I like Daniel Jones too, but what are we doing here, guys?
I like him too, but yeah, it's just he never should. Jesus Lord.
No, he should not. So look, this is difficult. Like I really love Rome Odunze to go out and get one of those guys. I'm leaning a little bit towards to who I feel like is the best corner in this class. And I really love watching his tape. And it's tough for me because I love the athletic profile that a guy like Mitchell brings, or the versatility that Cooper DeJean brings, because he obviously has the safety versatility. But man, watching Terry on Arnold, I was like blown away at his ability to mirror guys in and out of cuts.
Right there.
So I'm gonna stamp him as a little bit of a my guy here, and go with Terry on Arnold for a cornerback. And then this is also tough because this, I mean, it kind of thins out here. I could go interior offensive line and kind of, cheat it a little bit and also take another kind of guy that has tackle versatility because he's another one of my guys. So I'm going to cheat here. And technically, he was put as a guard by Dane Brugler, so I think I'm okay to do this. I'm going to take Troy Fatnu because I love watching him, and I think he very much could be a left tackle. I get why people would want to move it to guard, but he has all the length of the world to go out and play left tackle. What he did, as far as I'm concerned, keeping Michael Penix clean alongside what his right tackle partner was out there as far as the bookends were concerned was great. I'd love to have Troy in Kansas City personally watching Patrick Mahomes blindside. So I'll cheat a little bit and have him as interior offensive line. But, I play him at tackle personally. CJ, go ahead.
Ooh, coming right back around. Oh, here we go, boys. Got protection, got a weapon, got a QB. Who I like. Let me go to the board.
I would say the board reflects what this draft is. We're getting offense at the top, dog.
We're getting all that. You got to score points in this league, man. Let me see. Got to get a pass rusher. Got to get these quarterbacks on the ground since we took them all. So give me Jared Verse, Florida State.
Okay.
I think he's arguably the best DN in the class. A guy that could play obviously in a 3-4 or a 4-3. I think either way he could put his hand down or put his hand under. Very explosive for his size. I like he has a good bend, good get off. I think he could definitely be one of the better defensive players in this draft for sure.
Okay. Fair enough.
I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, he's my edge one, so I wouldn't be shocked if he's the best defensive player in this draft in a few years, not named Byron Murphy.
Not
so we're gonna just do it now. Brock Bowers, come on down. You're gonna play with Roma Dunze on this team, and I don't even care about the size stuff. Like he's standing next to Gronk, everyone's like, look at how small he is. I don't care. It's a different
Gronk.
league.
Gronk's like 6'7". What did I expect?
It's a different league. He's small. I'm just gonna scheme him up, and then he's just gonna do damage over the middle of the field when I'm throwing the ball down to Roma Dunze. So I don't even care. Just do whatever you want to do, Brock. Freelance for all I care, because you're gonna come and you're gonna make plays in the NFL, and wherever he goes, he's just gonna be open, and then he's gonna run after catch. And again, doesn't bother me with anything. I think that he's got some issues with man coverage specifically, but I'm not going to have to worry about that because you're never going to play against press man coverage ever. Not in my entire time that you are on my team. Anywhere. You're never going to line up ever.
Right. You're never going to need it to. I mean, people, the Gronk comparisons, look, he blocks plenty well enough. And it's like you said, it's a different league. You're not going to need him to line up and block edges, guys. No, he's out there so he can use it. His insane explosiveness after
scared, man. But they get scared.
Oh Lord.
Right. Well, look, we talked about this. It's too long to the draft. This is what happens. GG,
you're not wrong about that.
No. So I wouldn't be me if especially in a fantasy draft, if I didn't take a Texas guy at this point. I feel like I wouldn't be a real fan. So I'm gonna take my favorite, my guy, man, Xavier Worthy. The need for speed, shifty guy, a guy who I feel like can still run routes in this league and still be very effective. May have a little bit of trouble maybe with some bigger corners or whatever, but I still feel like if you put him in the right system and get him in the right place, that you can really use him as a dynamic weapon. And then on top of that, I will take who I also feel like is probably what Harm said, next to Jerry Verse is one of the better pass rushers in this draft is Dallas Turner. So take him. Got to get after the quarterback. Guy I feel like has got a lot of bend, a lot of plethora of moves, man. Just a guy I feel like naturally is going to be pretty good in this league. Verse might be a little bit better than he is career-wise, but I still feel like Dallas Turner is going to be a very good player in this league.
Athlete, that boy can do it all.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. This is my cornerback 2. It's close between him and Terrion, but Quinyon Mitchell can do it all. And I watched him at the Senior Bowl, and I'm just like, why were they playing this guy in off zone when he's such a dog? He will just get up in your face, physically impose himself upon you. I think that there was one matchup where he lost like outright, and it was against Roman Wilson, and it was one of the best routes in the entire Senior Bowl week, and that was just a lot of fun to watch. But I got some info, just some information about him. He went back. He played 2 years ago. He played against Marvin Harrison, and he's like learned a lot from that. And he's so strong. Like people really underrate how strong Marvin Harrison Jr. is, and they just kind of assume that because their quarterback last year was so bad that he just can't separate. Like he'll just throw guys off you. Like just come on. And Quinion actually played pretty well against Marvin Harrison, in my opinion. And I think that he's an excellent corner, and not just in this class, but in a lot of different classes. He can do it all, obviously, with a ton of experience playing zone. I think his best is going to be a press man technique, and I can't wait to see what he does out of Toledo nonetheless.
Yeah, all that length and athleticism, you got to let him go at the line and just beat people off the line at that point. You got to let him eat at that point.
Let him see that.
CJ, go ahead, dog.
Took one of my guys. I was liking Quinion. I didn't think nobody would grab him. Let me see. Do I want to go again? Do I want to get a corner? Let me go. I'm going to go the next best corner in the class. Give me Nate Wiggins out of Clemson.
Ooh.
Speed kills. Guy that can stay in phase. Guy that definitely, you're playing against an NFL like this, you got to have guys that can cover and have good recovery speed. Thankfully, he doesn't have to use it as much. But I think he's a guy that definitely does a good job of staying in phase, staying in guys' hip, and not getting beat on double moves and such. I think he's probably arguably one of the fastest guys, obviously, in the combine this year. So, yeah, I think Nate Wiggins would be a great corner in the league. Yeah, give me Nate Wiggins, CB1.
Okay. Don't blame me there. So getting here, I'm going to go wide receiver and then an edge player. I'll start with the edge guy. In my opinion, probably day one, the best pure pass rusher in the draft. Latu out of UCLA, I should say. The way he sets up tackles is like a 10-year vet in the NFL, which is really impressive watching that on tape. I mean, I was watching him and Jordan Morgan go at it, and Jordan Morgan is a guy that I really loved. Obviously, it's a little bit disappointed with the arm length, but still, his tackle tape was really good. But still, I was watching Latu and them counter back and forth. It was a very fun chess match to watch. I think that he's going to surprise some young tackles with what his already ability is from a mental standpoint, and he has the athleticism. Obviously, the injury concerns are real. He did retire or was forced to retire for a certain period of time, but if the kid is healthy, I think you're going to get a guy that you could throw out there from day one, third downs, and have an impact pass rusher. And I think there's a whole lot of value from that standpoint. And, in my opinion, who should be the wide receiver 4 in this class, I'll take Brian Thomas Jr., a guy that's going to be able from day one go down the field. I think he has the ability in short intermediate to get open. There are some question marks a little bit about his short area quickness, but from my perspective, he has the tools that could develop in the future, not necessarily as to an elite wide receiver in the league, but at the very least a possible number one weapon in an offense from my perspective. And I like what he brings to the table, certainly. And so I would be happy to have him head out my wide receiver room as well.
Don't want to get another one. Or do I want to go here? Let me see. I'm gonna go DG. I'm sorry, bro. Don't hate me. Give me AD Mitchell out of Texas, man. I thought you were gonna grab him before Egg personally, but no, I got my two receivers for the future. Caleb got 2 deep threats, 2 guys that can definitely get down the field, stretch the field, give him plenty of weapons outside, and I'll find me some other weapons to get in the middle of the field. But no, I love AD Mitchell's speed, love his athleticism. Definitely didn't play as fast as I thought he would have, but he ran extremely fast at the combine. I love that explosion. But a guy that has typical size, he can go get the ball, catches the ball at the highest point, tracks the ball very well. And I think playing next to great receivers, I think he'll definitely be a solid wide receiver 2, if not 1, developed in this league for sure. I love AD Mitchell. I wouldn't mind if the Chiefs got him too.
Yes, DJ will survive. But hey, I do like AD Mitchell, a guy that's risen throughout this draft process. I'll say to me personally, had some question marks about him early, but I had to cut him some slack on some things. But I'd be happy to see him in Kansas City personally. Certainly if it's at 32 for sure. Go ahead, Arms.
I'll keep my AD Mitchell thoughts to myself at the moment. But I'm going to go a little differently with my pick here, because this is a guy who, one, there's not much tape out there for this specific player, so it was hard to get a feel for him, but I was able to scrounge a couple of games together, and I think Marshawn Nealon out of Western Michigan is going to be a problem at the edge position. A virtual unknown, but he's got 34-plus-inch arms, legit burst off the line. He can convert speed to power, and he can not only attack the edge and get around. I mean, he doesn't have like the best bend in the world, but he can corner, and that's all you really need to do. If you can threaten the edge, you can corner and get behind those tackles. If not, he'll just use his hands and he'll just bowl a tackle into the quarterback. He does not care if he can't get to the edge because he's got legitimate speed to power to be able to just go right through guys. I still think that his pass rush plan is in a work in progress, trying to convert those outside moves into counters and things like that. But I think it's going to be a little bit of more of a what we saw, like, out of Sky Moore. Obviously, it's a jump from Western Michigan to the NFL, so it's a little bit up in your weight class, but he's got all the tools to be a legitimate edge rusher in the NFL. So we're gonna go Marshawn Nealon here.
I like it. And look, I mean, you're talking about making a jump. At the very least, if you're going to want to have that type of prospect in house, he's got to have athleticism, which we certainly saw at the combine as far as his testing numbers are concerned. Showed up, showed out. And you have to see that he dominated his level, and all of the analytics from that standpoint show up that he was one of the most dominant edge rushers in this class from a statistical output standpoint. So I can't blame you there for Nealon pick to head up your edge class. Go ahead, DG.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go interior offensive line here, and I'm gonna take one of my favorite guys, and Cooper Beebe out of K-State. A guy I feel like is a day one starter. A guy I feel like in the third or fourth round or wherever in those later rounds is going to be a steal for a team. Be able to come in and start immediately. I think he's a dog, man. And then I'll stick with the big boys in the middle, and I'll take Johnny Newton out of Illinois, defensive tackle. Really feel like he's going to be a star in this league as well too. So. Got to have some big guys up front to do some damage.
I always love when you get the name change during the draft prospects. It's like, no, I don't really like John. I want to go Johnny now. So,
right.
But no, he's a guy that I necessarily I'm a little bit cooler on, specifically for his fit with Kansas City because he's really a big time gap shooter, and I don't know if that's the best necessarily fit with Chris Jones. But look, he's going to make a lot of havoc as far as a defensive line if you could pair him with the right person, in my opinion. And that kid's got a lot of athleticism, certainly. So, pretty good pick, DG. Go ahead, Arms.
All right. Now we're going to finish off the offensive line here and pick one of my guys. He's not a day one guy, but Dominic Pooney out of Kansas can legitimately play all 5 positions. And when you have that kind of flexibility, that versatility to be able to do everything, obviously he did interior at the Senior Bowl with center and guard, but he is not a bad tackle by any stretch, and he has nearly 34-inch arms. So he meets the length threshold. He has legitimate power in his hands, recovery, athleticism. Like I said, when you're able to play left tackle, right tackle, guard, center, you're pretty athletic to be able to do all those things. And I just love what he brings. And I want to get more people talking about Dominic Pooney because he's someone who's probably going on day 2, firmly on day 2, probably in the 3rd round. That's going to be just one of the, we say it all the time in the NFL, just start your best 5. He's going to be someone's best 5 no matter where it is. And that's extremely important to have. And he's just one of my favorite players in this draft.
Yeah, I think it's cool that we're seeing a little bit of a revolution, in my opinion, as far as guys that fill in that best 5 type of aspect where, guys that are higher with Tallis Fuaga or Graham Barton or a guy like Dominic Pooney, a guy that can go up and down the lineup. And when you're talking about offensive line being a weak link system, which I always harp on, it's like if you can get 5 solid guys working together, that's the most important thing as far as the offensive line is concerned. And at that point, when you have guys that have that inside-out versatility where it's a guy like Nick Allegretti can step it at any time and save your season, or a guy like Joe Tooney who has the value to move out to left tackle in a pinch, all of those things are incredibly valuable, not only to get through a season, but also win at the highest level. So absolutely, that guy like Pooney, that's a guy that can go on day 2 and make an offensive line coach very happy because of what he can provide him from a value standpoint, certainly. And you can also save some offensive line roster spots, which has its value in and of itself. If you got guys with that type of versatility for sure. Go ahead, CJ.
DG took my Cooper Beebe pick. I really liked him. I'm gonna go with the next best guard. My next favorite guard. I'm gonna go with Mahogany out of Boston College.
Okay.
Definitely a guy. I love his athleticism, love his run blocking ability, love his aggressiveness. A guy that I think that could play left or right side if need be. And I love guys who like Daniel said, having versatility is one of the premium things I appreciate in any lineman. So I think he can come in and be a day one starter, be a rock on your offensive line, and like you said, come in and have cohesiveness in your five is very important. I think he can come in and do that from the jump for sure. And I hope it's his name right. I hope it's Mahogany or Mahogany.
Mahogany.
I think it's Mahoney.
Mahoney.
But
Sounds like a
we'll find out, right? We'll find out.
We'll figure out when it's announced, right?
I love the tweets of family members on the timeline. They're like, "You said his name wrong," and they tell them how to say it, and they still don't do it right. So,
Right.
Daniel, which of those three would you feel would be the best pick on day 2 to be the successor to Trey Smith, let's say in 2025?
I mean, it would be BB because he's like the replacement, right? I don't think he's as versatile in terms of athletic ability that Trey Smith is, but he's going to come in and just knock the snot out of dudes, and that's really what you want if you're going to replace him. But in terms of I think the best fit for what the Chiefs need, it would be Pooney because he can again give you everything. He can give you all that you're looking for, and again, maybe they want to move. Don't take this the wrong way, Chiefs fans, because I love him, and he only had a hand injury last year. But what if they want to move Freed Humphrey to guard? You pay him as a center, and then they say, hey, you could probably be an all-pro guard. We'll kick you in there. We're going to draft an interior guy, and then we'll just kind of figure it out, like piece it together. I mean, you could do any which way of things with these interior guys. So I think Pooney makes the most sense from a flexibility standpoint because the Chiefs really like to have options. We see that with Wanya Morris, who I think could also take over as a right guard in a year from now, and we'll just kind of see how that works.
Also, I do want to ask because I've heard this floated out a little bit more. I mean, do you think that moving Jawan Taylor to left tackle is a viable strategy? It again has the athleticism on the arm length. We obviously heard about it when he was initially signed. Do you think that is a viable thing that opens up the possibility for taking a right tackle for this team early on in the draft as well?
Yeah, I think it's a possibility. Again, I think it's going to mostly depend on what the board looks like because they're not going to be able to get up as far. I think the highest they could probably get if they were looking to trade up was Seattle at 16. You're not getting any higher than that because there's also the 20, 21, 22. There's like a 4-team stretch that's NFC. They're going to be like, whatever, we don't really care that much. But then again, maybe they do care because they've won back-to-back Super Bowls. You can't really guarantee the teams are just going to be willing to pick up the phone when Brett Veach calls. So if the idea is, well, we might have to sit here and wait at 32, they have the flexibility because I do think you're going to get the same player at left tackle for Juwan that you do it right. And there are stretches last year where he was a legitimately good right tackle. I think you're going to have stretches again. He's still 25, 26 years old. It's not like he's playing his best football right now. And I think Andy Heck can get the best out of him. We know he was working at left tackle drills in the offseason last year. So he knows how to, he has all the tools to be able to do it. And it just comes down to what the Chiefs feel they can do in this draft because they need someone to play left side. We don't know who it is.
You're not wrong whatsoever. They got to figure out, like we said, that best five, and maybe that best five includes somebody going over to left tackle just because they need it no matter what. So I personally will go here. I'll start off this pick with one of my guys, specifically Rook Owohoro. I believe that's how you say it, but I'm not.
That is how you say it. Yeah, I found that out a couple days ago.
Out of Clemson. He's a guy that I loved 2 years ago, and watching him, his athleticism all lines up. He has the ability with the pass rush plan. I like his hand usage. There are some aspects of him versus the run that are question marks, and that is certainly a thing. But you look at the way that this team, as far as the Chiefs specifically, are currently constructed. You've got the guys that can stop the run on early downs. You need somebody that can give you a little bit of that interior pass rush. I would love to pair him up with Chris Jones, that you can have him on third downs and then continue to be able to develop him from that standpoint, from an interior run stopping standpoint. So I love him out of Clemson, and that will be my pick as well. And then I will round out my wide receivers with a guy who, for me, has really grown on me throughout this process. Because at the start, I watched this guy a lot at Georgia, watched him a lot, which is a spoiler. And I was like, okay. I feel like he's a certain typecast. And then I watched him more and I was like, okay, I'm feeling like he's go outside more than I thought he was. And then I'm watching a little bit more at Lad McConkey and I'm like, okay, yeah, you should not be comparing him to every white slot receiver that's ever existed. This should not be continuing to happen. Again, he has the versatility to go outside. He has the versatility to go inside. He really threatens cornerbacks on a consistent basis deep, and that allows him to create a lot of separation. In my opinion, he at the very least could be a really good wide receiver too for a very long time in this league. So that would be why I would take Lad McConkey as well. And pair him up with Brian Thomas Jr., who I know is going to stretch the field, and have them that as my 1-2 punch hitting up my weapon room. Go ahead, CJ.
I'm going to go. Oh, he is still on the board. Give me Sweat out of Texas. I'm getting all the Texas boy, DG. Andre Sweat, man. I really like some people's board. They got him at DT too for good reason. A guy that's super explosive for his size, a guy who can stop the run, obviously because of his girth, but also a guy that can get after the quarterback as well. So you put him next to Jared Verse and any great D tackle. And from a Chiefs perspective, I would love, and I mean love, to have him next to Chris Jones. And unfortunately, he had the off the field issue, and I hate that for him personally. But as a football player, I think there's nothing more you can want than a guy who can get after the quarterback and stop the run next to Chris Jones. And I think that's what we've been begging for in Chiefs Kingdom for a long time. So I think that would solve a lot of issues. And I think Chris will be a very happy man, and Joe Cullen for sure.
I know Joe Cullen will love him because he's able to really play that true nose position, and that's something that, yeah, I mean, we kind of haven't had that. I mean, obviously we saw a little bit of Pinnell, we saw a little bit of Farrell, but I don't think you've had a true nose here in a good while. And Sweat would give you that versatility. And look, the off the field issues are certainly something that happens during draft season, and these character concerns are an aspect of the player evaluation that, you know, Reed can only see from the outside and not have, you know, as much information as these teams do. But look, if he's a guy that's there in the 4th or the 5th round, they feel comfortable with it. I would be very happy with the player.
Amazing value down there. Amazing.
That would be something.
Man, as long as I have to play the second half of the game, I'm fine with it. I'll tell you what. I couldn't stand watching him, and then just all of a sudden the second half comes around, he's like, dude, I'm tired. I'm tired.
Yeah.
Oh man, he was approaching nearly 390 near the end of the season. I'm just like, yo, buddy, we gotta
weigh in at the Senior Bowl, right? I think it was.
Yeah, he did not weigh in the Senior Bowl, and we were like, we know why. We know why. But you got back down to 360, but you gotta keep it there, my guy.
No,
for me, I'm gonna hit over the safety. I'm gonna get my number one safety, my favorite safety in this class, and it's Jaden Hicks. What he does from a versatility standpoint is almost unique to a Chiefs fan. When we see these guys come in, they play their 2 highs, they come down to the box, they can play against tight ends. He can do all those things. Very willing tackler. He's got size, he has speed, he can get downhill quickly. And again, I think he's one of these safeties in this class that can be a tight end eraser in the NFL. The athleticism to stick with them and not just stay there, but break up passes, tackle them when they're in open field and open space. And what I like most about him is that he can also play a little bit of linebacker. Like, he can come down as a dime backer, and then you're just like, go ahead, throw the ball. We want you to. He's not going to play at the cornerback position or play in the slot, but I think against a tight end or in the middle of the field where he's just eyes on the quarterback, he's going to be a weapon in the NFL.
Yeah, so like it. Look, that's a role certainly that Justin Reed has taken over a little bit more here, consistently playing a lot of man-to-man on tight ends, playing that linebacker role, obviously rotating down in spag scheme. So that's certainly something that they would be familiar with using, should that be the pick. But Jaden Hicks, definitely a guy that can wreak havoc in the passing game specifically. He's got a lot of physicality as far as his size is concerned. Go ahead, DG.
So I'm gonna take my corner here. A guy I feel like is better than Kool-Aid McKinstry at this point. TJ Tampa at Iowa State. I feel like very fluid hips, very adaptable, man in zone as well too. Former receiver, so a guy who I feel like has got some ball skills. They can do some things in this league. And then I'll stick with the secondary, and I'll take another. I'll take my safety as well, Cole Bishop out of Utah. Like a guy who can come in immediately and play that safety role. Still have to see a little bit more on him, but as far as what I know from right now, feel like he can step in and really be versatile for any scheme at this point. Feel like there's kind of no limits on him at this point. So Like Cole Bishop.
Fair enough. Back to you, Danner.
I'm gonna now take one of my favorite players in this draft, and I understand he's 24 years old. I don't understand where everyone is watching, but Dwayne Carter out of Duke is my defensive tackle 2 in this class. I think that he's going to be a legitimate pass rusher from the interior. He can play a bit of 4-eye. He can play from the 3. He can play from the 1. He can line up at 0, and he can actually take on double teams for a guy who's kind of typecasted as a penetrator. He's got really good first step quickness. He has counters. He has the spin move. He's got the arm over. He has a lot of different pass rush techniques. The big problem with him is that, he doesn't shed the blocks all the time. He'll get there, he'll hold them up, and then he'll be like, hey, where's the ball? It happens sometimes where you're just like, I'm trying to do my job here, and the ball is over there. But he's like, he's just one of my favorite players to watch. He's got great pop in his hands. You see him jar offensive linemen a ton with that initial power forward, and again, he can go speed to power. I think he's a plug and play defensive tackle in the NFL with his ability to rush the passer and stay in next to some of your established defensive tackles, and someone who's going to be very important, especially because we know that teams are really kind of on the pass rushing defensive tackle train right now. And I think that he's one of these guys that are going to go higher than a lot of people expect.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It does seem like he's rising up the boards lately as well. CJ, go ahead, my man.
I can't believe this guy is still on the board here. Give me Chop Robinson out of Penn State. Arguably the best get off in this whole entire draft. Speed kills. Like Daniel just said, you got to be able to get at the quarterback. When I watch him, I get a lot of Dwight Freeney, Robert Mathis type of vibes. A guy that has amazing get off, a guy that can definitely turn that arm over move into a spin, maybe even a fake spin if he develops that into his repertoire as well. But I love his speed. I love his get off. You have to be able to get after the quarterback. Him and Jared Verse together will be an amazing combo in his fantasy team. So I love Chop Robinson. He's one of my favorite edges in this class for sure.
Definitely speed kills. I would say designated pass rusher type more so because he doesn't defend the run at all. It feels like he's more of a space player. It feels like, but look, I do love him as a pass rusher. I will certainly say that. If you're going to take a guy and line him up and go after on third downs, Chop Robinson is going to be able to do that from day one. And, it's Penn State, so they kind of just have these athletes. Just like, hey, go do things. So this is tough because I have some guys in mind, but even though I could take one of my favorite edge rushers, what I'll do, I will secure my 2 guys here because 2 guys that I really do love. One, Jalen Wright, running back out of Tennessee. A lot of explosive plays from him. Now, there are some aspects with his fumbling that are understandable question marks, but I just love the way he runs with the football. I do. He also has soft hands. He has the ability to catch the ball out of the backfield. Watching the SEC, the things he was able to do, I really like his vision as well. As long as you're able to fix those fumbling skills, I mean, God, I love watching him. So, Jalen Wright's a guy that I think could actually lead a running back room. Not a guy that I think should necessarily be used as a Pacheco kind of combination because there are also some pass protection concerns certainly with him. But I love watching him run the football. And so I have Jalen Wright is probably my number 1 running back that I like. And it's a running back class where it's kind of like a whatever your flavor is type of class from that aspect as well. And then other safety that I fell in love with watching, Robert Taylor Demerson, a guy out of Tech, man. That kid can go everywhere, slot free. He can play you split safety. He can come down in the box occasionally. He's not really necessarily built to do that, but he can do it occasionally. And really, when you have that type of versatility, in my opinion, that's my modern day safety that I would love to invest in and have as a guy. And I will also say I heard a great story about him early on the podcast that Bootleg Football did with Brett Coleman and his co-host with EJ, talking about what he was able to remember from a play standpoint that a team had a frozen, and he was just like automatically was like, yeah, this is X, Y, and Z of what that sequence was, and this is exactly what we need. So I love what a safety that can recall things as well as that. So Robert Taylor Demerson and Jalen Wright, 2 of my guys, I would take them at running back and safety for me. Go ahead, CJ.
Right back at it. Oh, let me see. Who's my favorite safety on the board? Oh, I like Cole Bishop, you hater.
Why you like my team so much, man?
I know, man, because I'm gonna stop talking to you, bro. Stop telling you guys I like. Give me Tyler Newman out of Minnesota. I think a guy that's definitely versatile. A guy that can play in the box and deep safety. I love his size as well as range. Definitely a guy. As far as from a cheap perspective, If people like Juan Thornhill, definitely the same type of player. I think better, obviously. I think he has good range. A guy that can attack the ball at the highest point. A guy that can definitely get some turnovers and be a headhunter in the safety position as well. So, yeah, give me Tyler Nubin right here at safety.
Yeah, look, a lot of people think he's going to be safety one off the board, certainly. So
he's good. Hopefully that little injury he had kind of clears up. But I like Tyler Nubin game a lot.
I love you guys. I appreciate you leaving me my RB1. I was waiting for the last minute because it's not even. I like this running back class a lot. There's a lot of different players that fit different schemes, different running back backfields, things like that. It really is a choose your own adventure at running back. And Jonathan Brooks is my RB1. And not only is he a guy that can do gap, power, and zone, he is a ready-made NFL pass protection unit. He will not back down to any blitz. He does not care. He's physical in that sense. He's not the most physical runner, which is interesting because he will just stand in there and take the linebacker just going right down the A gap and he'll stand him up. So there is the ability to run a little bit with some physicality, but he's so smooth. It's so different watching this guy run. He gets to the second level. He's so smooth. He gets his hands out, I think, better than any running back in this class. The use of his peripheral vision to see defenders, to use his stiff arm, or to just kind of move him out of the way so we can go to the inside. Elusive in space, great hands as a pass catcher. Yeah, Jonathan Brooks is my RB1, and he's just so fun to watch, man. I love it. I love it.
As long as he's healthy, he's my RB1 too.
Yeah.
Look, he's a guy that the Chiefs have brought in for a visit recently as well.
You know what that means? We're not taking him.
Well, they won't. They can't do it on day 2, man. They can't do it again.
Too rich for that blood. Too rich for that blood.
Look, and that leads right into my question that I was going to ask. Him being your number one running back in this class, is he worth a day 2 pick for Kansas City?
No, it's
absolutely not.
It's not. You just can't. As much as I want to say yes, no, you can't do it unless you are guaranteeing. If you could come to me before the draft and say Jonathan Brooks is going to be the best, a top 5 running back in the NFL, I would be like, sure. But then again, I'd be like, hey, Patrick Mahomes is on this team. I'm good. All right. Like I don't need it. I can just get a running back on day 3 or a UDF, a priority free agent after the draft. Plug him in next to Isaiah Pacheco and be like, fine, we'll figure it out.
Exactly. Like they always.
Right.
Thank you for that, Harms. Fighting the good fight as far as just don't take a running back until day 3, please. I beg. Please,
I mean, you have
3
years of data to figure that out. So you made a mistake. So we love Clyde. Shout out to Clyde. We love Clyde.
I do love Clyde, and I loved him coming out. Still do.
Absolutely. It's just I just hated the spot. I love the player.
Why'd you do it in the first round?
Yeah,
guys.
Patrick Mahomes said so.
It's you still could have got him on day 2. He wasn't going nowhere.
Hey man, 15. He said that's what he wanted.
The board for Clyde. Come on, man. What are we doing?
The beautiful thing about it is, fortunately now he's on a rookie, or I should say a minimum contract compared to, obviously getting paid first round pick money. Thank the good Lord for that as well.
Shout out my dog Clyde, man. Shout out 2-5. Man.
Shout out to CEH. I'm glad he's back. Had a little bit of redemption this year. It was very nice to see for Clyde.
That catch in New England was tough, Daniel. I know you like that. Yeah.
Anytime Clyde does anything, I am his number 1 fan. Anytime. Because people have killed him for years on outside zone from shotgun, and you can't get there. I'm sorry, guys. He's going this way. He can't get over there. It's not possible. But every time, here is a screenshot of Clyde. Look at this giant cutback lane. But he's looking this way. Can we stop it?
Daniel, you just had a rant like I did because, boys, what have I told everyone in the chat and on the timeline? Stop running the ball out of shotgun. I've been saying that for years, Daniel. Stop. It doesn't work. If you're going to run the ball, get under center. Jesus Lord.
Just do pistol. Just do pistol. Get away with the shotgun stuff and just do pistol.
Daniel finally gets it. Finally somebody who speaks my language. Jesus Lord.
I die a little bit inside every time we run outside zone on the shotgun.
Every time I run the ball,
it gets no pressure on the defense at all. I'm like, this is the most pointless play ever.
And
we do it on goal line, which is even more stupid. I'm like, oh, God.
If there was one play I could just Madden lock out of Andy Reid's playbook, it would be outside zone out of shotgun.
Get that out of
here every time. Okay. glad we all had that spiritual experience together. DG, go ahead, man.
Boy, oh boy.
Yeah, I'll wrap mine up, man. I'll take Darius Robinson. I'll stay in home state right now.
MIZ.
Kid out of Mizzou, man. I feel like you can't pass up 35-inch arms. Good burst, flexibility on the line, versatility. A guy I feel like I can play the edge and play inside a little bit as well too. Very good high motor. And then I'll wrap it up, grabbing my running back and taking a guy who Max will probably be really proud of me for taking, but Bucky Irvin out of Oregon.
He was pre-typing that shit.
Right.
Yeah, I was like, I heard it.
Yeah,
if he said Max, I knew it. I knew it.
Yeah.
You know what Max is gonna say.
Right. Guy I feel like is good pass catcher, good burst, and a guy I feel like can kind of do it all at the running back position. Maybe a little bit on the
Danny
smaller
Woodhead
side.
right there. Boy.
Yeah.
Dog.
But definitely, good receiving back. I feel like in this league, and I like guys who can kind of do both. So
Can't blame me there.
All right.
Finish out.
It was
Go ahead,
tough.
let's see. Who's your quarterback,
tough.
man?
yeah, that's what I've been wondering. Who's this quarterback
Cool.
gonna
I think
be?
I know who he gonna pick. I know
It was tough for me. Because I could go chalk here, but I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pick one of my favorite guys to watch, to root for, and it's Spencer Rattler out of South Carolina. I love not just the talent, I love what he went through.
Facts.
The story.
Yeah.
He's the most mentally and emotionally mature quarterback in this draft because of what he went through. And people are still holding Oklahoma against him. If you go back to his first year at South Carolina, he was throwing the football again he was making really poor decisions. And then they kind of went back a little bit this past year. They were still there in his game, but the talent's undeniable with Spencer Rattler. He's so much fun. I could have just went Michael Penix here and said, hey, Rome, we're just going to chuck the ball down all day. But I got Spencer Rattler to do that. As long as he has an offensive line in front of him, which I'm betting on having with a couple of guys here in this draft, like I'm okay with it. He's got the arm talent. I think he's a good mobile quarterback. He's got pretty good footwork, and he's got the best release in this class, in my opinion. It's flawless, in my honest opinion. So, go Spencer Rattler.
All right, can't blame you there.
One of the few quarterbacks I've seen be up for the Heisman preseason get benched in the middle of the season. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
So you don't see that happen too often. So he's definitely mentally stable, been through a lot for sure.
And I will say, as far as day 2 or early day 3, if he gets there, I assume he's going day 2. But you want to develop him. He's got all the arm talent. There's a reason why he was the prospect he was, or the recruit he was. There's a reason why he was Heisman possible candidate. He's got that talent in him, and like Harm said, he's gone through a lot. He's had that mental maturity. So I completely understand if somebody wants to take a swing on him in day 2.
That arm is special.
DJ,
He can throw the ball.
who's your running back, man?
Last running back. Oh, you guys took all the good ones. So many to choose from.
They didn't take all the good ones. RB2's on the board.
Let me see. Who's my favorite running back?
Yeah, boy, Blake is still out there too.
Blake is still there. I'm gonna go. Give me Isaac Garindo. This is the guy I want the Chiefs to actually grab him for sure, for me purposely. A guy that's explosive, gets down the field. Obviously, we have our power back in Pacheco, so I think he'd be a great addition to come in. Obviously, when we want to spare Clyde, and definitely could take over that third down role as well. And you get him in the open field, he's not being caught by too many people. So I love the explosiveness. I love how he hits the hole. A guy that's definitely could be a complimentary back that we had to Pop and obviously Clyde. So I love his game. I love his tape. I think he'd be a great value, probably like you said, day 3 type pick. He may end up being day 2 because I think his name's being talked about too much. But I would love to have him on the Chiefs for sure.
Can't blame you there one bit. But look, you're talking about insane athleticism. Obviously, we saw with this testing.
He can fly.
Kid got a lot. I did what I saw out of Louisville. You can't run the ball effectively, can't catch the ball effectively. We'll see about the pass protection, but it's one of those things where you trust what you're going to bring him into the room and teach him how to do. So, look, if you're betting on athleticism on day 3 or running back, I'm good. That's as long as it's day 3. Late day 3, I'm good.
Let's get it, man. Let's get it.
I'm good.
We ain't had nobody burst open a long run since who? Damian Williams? It's been a while, fellas. We ain't had nobody get in the open field and bust like a 60-yarder in a minute. So we need some speed.
Isaiah Pacheco did it 2 years ago. He actually did it last year too. I mean, he's got 4.39 speed.
He had the Jets one. Yeah.
He just takes a little bit to get there. It's just you know, he's like a
crank.
It's because he's so mad at the ground when he runs.
It's so funny watching him run, but it works. It's extremely impactful, and I'm happy that we drafted it. But it's also it's so fun.
It sounds like he's screaming every time. He's like, ah!
I guarantee you, he is. He is screaming
every single time. Every single time. So look, this is to finish this out. I was surprised that this guy kind of was still on the board, but I feel like he's kind of pushed a little bit down draft boards, just kind of people not necessarily talk about it a lot. A guy I really like, I'm going to take Chris Jenkins out of Michigan, obviously off the national champions.
I thought about it.
What I saw from him, he's not necessarily as special as what I initially thought, I will say, going into the draft process, but watching him a little bit more and more, I feel like he's going to be a solid day 2 guy that you can come in and be a part of a defensive line rotation from day 1. Obviously, he knows what it takes to win. I give credit for guys that understand what it's about. He's talked about highly within that Michigan program. So I'll take Chris Jenkins and finish this out. Checo is heavy-footed. That is the understatement of the century. He has concrete blocks for feet, but it works. It works because he can move them very quickly. So look, we just under an hour, and look, I love this draft. I had time and enjoyed it. I have like 3 quick, just rapid fire questions for Harms, and these are a little bit off the board, not necessarily Chiefs focused, but as a Chiefs fan, is it better or worse, in your opinion, if the Raiders and Broncos take a quarterback in the first, obviously outside of the guys that we expect that should go top 3 from this standpoint? Do you think that's better or worse from a Chiefs fan's perspective?
I mean, I'll be honest, I don't really care. There's not much that they can do that is going to really help them unless they can actually get a Drake May or something like that. But even if they do, they have to be able to develop him. And Sean Payton, I mean, yeah, cool what he did in New Orleans. He had Drew Brees. Like, what are we doing here? What has he done outside of have Drew Brees? He got a really good offense. He had to change his offense to Russell Wilson last year. Obviously, I don't put all of it on Sean Payton. I think he can get it done, but that team's not good. It's not good. It's not a good team. And the Raiders are going to run the ball 50 times a game, so I don't care who they draft at quarterback. It's going to come down to defense and running the football there. So I think outside the top 4 quarterbacks in this draft, they're not getting one of them. And I like Michael Penix, but I just watched what he did in the national championship game, and I called it to a T. They're going to pressure him. They're going to change the picture. And lo and behold, he couldn't do much. So, and I'm not a Bo Nix guy, so don't even talk to me about Bo Nix.
Sorry, Max.
I apologize to anybody that I may offend with that, but I just can't do it with Bo. But if he goes to, I think his best shot would be Denver with Sean Payton to actually utilize the short passing game to his advantage, because he's not going to really do much down the field. So no, I don't think there's anything that they could do that worries me in any sense.
My favorite thing about Sean Payton, and I do think that Sean Payton is a great coach. I won't take it away from him, but everybody's like, oh, he made Drew Brees. Do y'all remember how good Drew Brees was in college? Like, that man was throwing
even with the Chargers.
And he was great with the Chargers. And then he got hurt, and everybody was like, oh, no, Drew Brees was nothing before the Saints. What are you talking about? That's just not true. So, look, shout out to Sean Payton and the Broncos. Oh, man, I love the Broncos. So and I will also say, I think the Vikings, in my opinion, are chasing something that they should have just waited and let come to them. If they were able to have Michael Penix come to them, in my opinion, that would probably be the best possible landing spot, because I believe in Kevin O'Connell as offensive coach. They have the bookend tackles. They obviously have the weapons. For him to sit in that pocket and be able to throw the ball all over the field would be the best situation. From my perspective, sounds like they want to get a little bit more aggressive and go up and get one of the top 3/4 in the top of the draft. So we'll see how that ends up working out. It's one of the more fascinating storylines in the NFL draft. Second question: who was the cornerback while you were watching the wide receivers that really caught your eye? Somebody was like, oh, wow, that guy is doing a heck of a job covering these guys from your perspective. Just somebody that really popped out. It could be anybody that was on the board already or whatever. So
yeah, I was watching these LSU guys, not just last year, the year before, and I love Terry and Arnold, but specifically for the Chiefs, Kool-Aid McKinstry was nails. He did not let any of these guys, Malik Neighbors downfield or Brian Thomas, do much against him specifically. And you actually saw LSU say, "Hey, we're going to move our guys off of you, and we're going to make it easier," because as a press man cover corner down the field, I mean, there was one that this wasn't against LSU, but it was against Adonai Mitchell, where it was up the left sideline and he played it perfectly. It was just, better. Sometimes you get beat. Okay, fine. We'll move on. But he's usually really in phase. He doesn't always get his head around to the football, which I don't care about. The Chiefs don't care about. So whatever. They play really physical man defense, and he was just every time he was up against like a really good receiver, he was there. He was right in that hip pocket, ready to make a play, and that it took me by surprise because I was having him fall down boards, my board specifically, and watching him through this process, I really grew and a really nice appreciation for his physicality, his man coverage, and his willingness to come down and play in the run game. He's not like going to come down and just level guys, but he comes down, he's physical, and he will make tackles. So I really grew on him a lot throughout this process.
Absolutely. The guy that actually wins that award for me is Rodardo Green for a similar reason. I was watching the LSU guys versus Rodardo Green, and I was like, wow, he's giving these guys some issues on the outside, man. Dog. I love what I saw out of him. And competition, in my opinion, does matter. I feel like guys that really rise to the occasion does matter. Because look, you're going to the NFL, you're facing the best of the best. You got to show up when the lights are brightest. So I thought Rodardo Green had an excellent game. Certainly, he's open tonight. And look, your point is well taken for him. He certainly can ball on the outside. I will not take that away from him, absolutely. And we don't care about ball production. So that's a great thing about being a Chiefs fan. Don't care about that. You better get to third down and force some punts, okay? Okay, so last one specifically, and this one is a little bit more to your fantasy side, obviously a part of fantasy, guys. I have a question for you. Dynasty folks, early sleeper in the draft as far as prospects are concerned that you think are maybe slide down some boards in rookie drafts that people should keep an eye out for?
Oof. Let me open up my wide receiver grades here because I'm, 30 wide receivers deep in my grades. I think Johnny Wilson is like the unheralded guy that people like, we just move him to tight end. Dude can play wide receiver. Like he can flat out play and he can get open. And I think that it really does depend on landing spot for him because he's got to play a little bit more physically. So if he goes to a team where he's going to get a little bit stronger, where that matters to them, or if he's going to get schemed open a little bit, that helps too. But Johnny Wilson just gets open. And even if they do make him a switch to tight end, I mean, that's even better too for a matchup problem. Like he's going to get open against linebackers and safeties. And I don't care about his drops. I really don't. They don't bother me. Jordan Travis is terrible. Like he's an awful quarterback. He's one of the worst quarterbacks I think I've ever watched in this process. Like he's legitimately bad. So yeah, exactly, Kyle, how his quarterback was terrible. Another wide receiver, I think this one's more of a projection because Jermaine Burton could be special. He could be special, but he's another one of the head cases. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. We've got some off-field concerns and lack of development at Georgia and Alabama. Alabama's been known to develop wide receivers, and they just didn't really utilize him in a lot of different ways. And I saw Matt Harmon's, his stuff dropped today on Jermaine Burton, and I don't agree with the success rates that I'm seeing him project because I watched him and I'm just like, yeah, I don't know about that. But he runs an NFL route tree, specifically from the outside, and the tools, the athleticism, and the flashes are all there. It's just he's got to kind of get the right headspace and develop. So I think Jermaine Burton's another one of those guys. And if we're going to like a running back perspective, this is pulling from people. I don't understand it. Braylon Allen's not good, guys. I don't get that. But Tyrone Tracy, Purdue running back. Played wide receiver for a few years, actually his entire career there before he transitioned to running back this past year. He has a natural feel for the game. Like he's got great spatial awareness. He has really good peripheral vision. Obviously, he's still learning how to play running back, but if this is a guy who's also a legitimate pass protector. He will just stay there and physically beat up blitzers. I love that about him. He's obviously got good hands. Granted, he transitioned from wide receiver, so he doesn't have elite hands, but he's a guy that could develop into one of your even your third down backs. Those are really valuable in fantasy, especially for your PPR leagues. So he's someone I've had my eye on since I started watching him. In a few years, if you hear, Tyrone Tracy's turned into a starter somewhere and he's just kind of scoring passing touchdowns, I mean, don't be too shocked about that.
Absolutely. Look, I like Tyrone Tracy. Another guy I'd be happy to target for Kansas City on day 3. Look, Arms, thank you so much for doing this. We had a lot of fun doing this draft.
Yeah, it was fun, man.
A good way to switch it up as well. We'll get this out, let's tweet out from the Kingdom Cast account and see who the people really like as far as team is concerned, man. Thank you so much for coming by. Tell the people where we can find you. Obviously, RGR Football, main thing, fantasy football, Cover One podcast as well. Anything else you want to plug?
Well, I appreciate you guys for having me. I know people aren't going to vote for mine specifically because, I got Spencer Rattler as the quarterback, which is totally okay with me. I'm all right with that. We're here for vibes, okay? We're here for vibes, and I had a really great time, guys. But outside of those places, obviously, my Javon Baker film room just dropped at rgrfootball.com earlier today, so you guys can go check that out. NFL33.com, I have top 5 offensive tackles. I'm going to do probably top 5 running backs and interior offensive line / interior defensive line there as well. And then, whatever else I end up doing as the 2 weeks go along. But again, I appreciate you guys for having me. This is a blast.
Absolutely, man. Appreciate you for coming by. I know you have a busy schedule everywhere that you're at and dealing with your little daughter that we love to see on RGR as well. DG, CJ, thank you. As always, yours truly. Appreciate you guys for coming by. Shout out to Tell the Truth. Stay tuned to Kingdom Cast. We will have a very special announcement within the next 24 hours to keep an eye out for, man. See you guys later, dog.
Peace.